Now, let's travel backwards in time. When I changed my lifestyle, I was 22 years old. I had a ton of habits already built into my lifestyle in the first 22 years of life. I loved eating me some meat. I loved drinking me some chocolate milk. I loved eating large meals, and I prided myself on how quickly I could eat those meals. I loved cheeseburgers more than any food on the planet. I loved eating 4x4s from In-N-Out Burger, which if you've never been there before, it's a West Coast based fast food chain where they have a secret menu and you can order what's called a double double, which is actually on their menu, which is 2 patties and 2 cheeses, or you can order a 3x3, which is 3 patties and 3 cheeses, a 4x4, a 6x6, a 20x20, whatever you want. I used to have a contest with my friends. It was called the 4x4 in 4. And the trick was to try and order a 4x4, which is 4 patties and 4 cheeses, and eat that within 4 minutes. And the person who did it fastest won. Okay. These are the types of games that I used to play. And these are the types of foods that I really enjoyed eating. Okay. At the same time, I also had some positive habits. I loved playing soccer. I loved lifting weights. I loved staying active. I loved studying hard, and I loved to socialize. But in addition to that, I also loved smoking marijuana, and I loved drinking beer. So some of my habits were good. Some of my habits were not leading me in the right direction. But the truth is that a lot of these habits were ingrained in me, and they were things that I had acquired over the first 22 years of life. Okay. Now, changing these habits meant that I had to ask myself a series of tough questions. And the first thing that I had to decide was that if I was going to change my lifestyle, that I had to have an open mind and that I had to be willing to try. I had to be willing to get out of my own way, because if I was going to stand in my own way and I was going to constantly convince myself that making any type of positive change in my lifestyle was a dumb idea, or it wasn't going to work, or it seemed futile, then guess what? I was already making it almost impossible for myself to succeed. So by approaching lifestyle change with an open mind and saying to myself instead, you know what? I want to change. I want to improve my blood glucose control. I want to use less insulin. I want to feel less like an 80-year-old man and more like a 20-year-old man. Okay. I had to be willing to get out of my own way, and I had to be willing to make mistakes. I also had to be willing to talk about the changes that I was making with other people, whether they were my friends or whether they were my family members. And I had to be willing to be relentless in my efforts and not make excuses when I inadvertently put obstacles in my own way. A lot of the times people like to say, oh, well, life throws difficult things in your path. And the answer is, yeah, it does. But most of the time you put obstacles in your own way. And if you can recognize the obstacles that you are putting inside of your own way that are impeding your path to success, then that is a very evolved place to be. And if you can identify what you're doing to sabotage yourself, and you can either stop sabotaging yourself or identify the obstacles and start to remove them over the course of time, then that's going to enable you to move just a little bit further down the path towards a place of better health. Now, when I was making all these changes, I did recognize that as soon as the holidays would roll around, whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas time or Easter or 4th of July or the Super Bowl, okay, and I would go home or I would get together with friends, what that equated to was that I would eat large quantities of food, and I would pride myself on how much food I could eat, because guess what? That was my ingrained habits, and that was just the culture that I grew up in. Okay. Now, these types of events, I used to look forward to them, and I used to get frustrated by them simply because they were fun and they were social events. But at the same time, I knew that they weren't doing anything to improve my health. And so sometimes I would tell myself that other people were making my life hard, because I was like, damn it, why are you going to hold a 4th of July party? Because if you do, you're making my life hard. But in reality, the host wasn't trying to make my life hard. The host was just trying to have a party. So I had to stop assigning the blame to other people and start taking responsibility for my own actions. And I had to start recognizing that there were things that I was doing, and there was self-talk that I was engaged in that was actually making my life harder, and that I had to assume the responsibility for that, because otherwise I was just going to constantly operate in a world where I was pushing my problems on other people. Okay. So if you were not raised to eat a plant-based diet, then guess what? Join millions of other people. Join me, join your neighbors, join your coworkers, join your ex-landlord. We're all in the same boat. Okay. The US culture is unfortunately not designed to reinforce the benefits of eating an evidence-based nutrition profile. It's not reinforcing what scientists have discovered. It's also not helping us become active in our daily movements and active in our lifestyle. And it seems like the entire environment that we are raised in can sometimes be constructed to make us fail in the first place. Okay. But here's the thing. I don't want you to have to beat yourself up. Okay. Just look at yourself in the mirror, just make a decision, and don't give up until you get the results that you want. I read a book back in the day by a gentleman named Dean Karnazes. At the time, he was the world ultramarathon champion. He had run more ultramarathons and had more championships in running ultramarathons than any human up to that point. And on one race, he ran over 200 miles by himself. And he was the first human to accomplish that. And when a reporter had asked him after a 48-hour journey how he ran 200 miles by himself with no support, he said, "Oh, it's actually kind of easy. I just put one foot in front of the other and I didn't stop until I hit the finish line." Okay, it's that kind of mentality that is very helpful when making a decision to make lifestyle change. Okay. Don't let the culture that you're raised in become an excuse. Don't let your previous habits become an excuse. Get out of your own way and start making progress the way that you want to make it. Just make a decision and go. Time is of the essence, and the power is in your hands. It has always been in your hands, and it will always be in your hands. Just stop overthinking the process and just start. As Tom Cruise in the Top Gun Maverick film tells his star fighter pilot Rooster, he says, "Rooster, don't think, just do." That's the mentality that I want you to have. Just stop thinking and start doing. This video was just a snippet of a much more in-depth discussion. Click on the link on the screen to check out the full-length episode. Now, the science behind health is overly complicated, unfortunately, but getting healthy doesn't have to be. Visit masteringdiabetes.org/start. Answer some questions about yourself and schedule a free consultation to talk with somebody on our team who's going to show you exactly how we've transformed the lives of thousands of people using the Mastering Diabetes method. We have a limited number of spots available, and that's why it's imperative to find a good fit. Again, visit masteringdiabetes.org/start to schedule a free zero commitment discovery call and start taking control of your health today.